this week there was another sort of article around this theme of disillusionment. And who could it be that's written this article on disillusionment but Gary Marcus? Now, our audience might remember Gary Marcus when he was chosen to speak in front of Congress with Sam Altman. Now, my theory is he was chosen because he made Altman look a lot better, because the guy seems to, my opinion, be a bit of an attention whore and follow the theme of the week in terms of his opinions about AI. And
well, I'd forgotten him completely, and I typed him into the Google after you mentioned his name. And literally there's two headlines, if you just search for his name, that contradict one another. On one hand, he's warning about the powers of AI and how it's going to take over the world. And on the other hand, he's saying, oh, maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, so just to like lead into this is the guy who said, we have built machines that are like bulls in a china shop, powerful, reckless, and difficult to control. He also started his testimony to Congress saying, today's meeting is historic. I am profoundly grateful to be here. I come as a scientist, as someone who has founded AI companies, and as someone who genuinely loves AI, but who is increasingly worried.
I come as a genius. I understand everything. You must listen to me.
This guy is the biggest fearmongerer on earth, or was. Like, that was his tune when it was cool to be an AI fearmongerer. And now he's released this week, what if generative AI turned out to be a dud? Right on cue.
What I don't understand is how could you be speculating about such an opinion like that if you're such an expert? Like, you would know if you're a scientist who's studied this your whole career, which he purports to be. Wouldn't you have a much stronger opinion one way or another? He finishes the article saying, I don't really have a conclusion here. I'm not sure. And it just seems to me like if you were that deep into it, you would be sure, or at least have a strong opinion.
He does tend to hedge in the articles a little bit. Like, I might be wrong, but
yeah.
But the reality is, when you read this, it sounds like someone who's very misinformed, or at least doesn't actually use AI at all or understand it.
Yeah, it seemed really superficial to me. Like, he's still sort of quoting things like GPT's ability to write an article, and like really the most pedestrian use cases you would use when talking to someone who's never heard of the stuff before, trying to dazzle them with it. And he's saying, well, people are getting bored of those most basic use cases. The whole time I read the article, I said, well, you just don't have the good use cases. Like, every time I use these models for something real, like getting a huge amount of information that I know something about and asking it questions, and it's giving accurate answers in the format I ask, how can that not excite you?
What I don't get to is, so just for our audience who may or may not have read the article, probably not, let's be honest. Some of his points in it are basically, the overarching theme is, you know, what if it turns out to be a dud? Like, how are they going to justify these billion-dollar valuations? Is this really a trillion-dollar market? And most of the revenue is coming from helping software developers write boilerplate code and writing some text for marketers. I've asked a bunch of my buddies who are, you know, old grey-haired VCs in the Valley about
who are deeply threatened by this.
Yeah, who are deeply threatened.
And they've declared it's not a big deal.
And they've said, you know, it's not a big deal because we haven't made any investments yet and are probably going to miss out on this.